The moving truck had barely left the driveway when Jack Thompson noticed the first violation notice. It was tucked into his mailbox like a venomous snake waiting to strike. Neatly folded, stamped with the HOA's official logo, and addressed in crisp font to the new homeowner, 2147 Oakwood Lane. He tore it open, his calloused fingers smudging the pristine paper. Violation number 1, fence paint color, beige number 203, does not comply with community standards. Beige number 207, correct within 14 days or face a $500 fine. Jack scoffed. Beige number 203 versus number 207? The fence had looked perfectly fine when they'd bought the house. A sturdy, sun-bleached barrier separating their backyard from the sprawling Texan wilderness. But here, in Cypress Creek, even the dirt seemed to follow rules. Another one? Emily asked, stepping onto the porch with a mug of coffee. Her auburn hair was tied back, but loose strands fluttered in the dry Texas wind. Their 2 kids, Lily, 7, and Noah, 5, chased each other around the yard, their laughter echoing through the quiet street. Same bullshit, Jack muttered, crumpling the notice. They're just looking for excuses to bleed us dry. Emily sighed. Maybe we should have rented longer. You know HOAs get obsessive about. No, Jack cut her off, his jaw tightening. This is our home. We're staying. He'd promised her stability after years of military deployments. A safe place for the kids to grow up. But as he stared at the row of identical McMansions lining Oakwood Lane, each lawn manicured to surgical precision, he wondered if they'd traded one battlefield for another. The HOA's next move came at dawn. Jack was cleaning his Glock 19 at the kitchen table, a ritual he'd kept since Afghanistan. When Emily stormed inside, her cheeks flushed. "They're here again," she hissed, pointing to the driveway. A silver Lexus idled at the curb. Behind the wheel sat Linda Carter, HOA president and self-appointed queen of Cypress Creek. Her bleach blonde hair was shellacked into a helmet-like bob, and her coral pink pantsuit screamed, "I've never touched dirt in my life." A squat man in a polo shirt hovered beside her, clipboard in hand. "Mr. Thompson," Linda trilled, stepping out of the car. "We're here for the mandatory property inspection." Jack blocked the doorway, his 6 feet 2 inches frame filling the space. "Inspection? Yes, per HOA bylaws," she said, waving a laminated pamphlet. "We need to ensure your modifications comply with community guidelines." "Modifications? We've been here a month." Linda's smile didn't reach her ice-blue eyes. "The tree, Mr. Thompson." She gestured to the ancient oak in their front yard, its branches clawing at the sky. Its limbs extend 4 inches over the sidewalk. A safety hazard. Emily appeared beside Jack, her voice steady but cold. "That tree's been here for 50 years. Previous owners never had issues." "Ah, but you're not the previous owners," Linda said sweetly. The man behind her scribbled notes. "Trim it by Friday, or we'll hire a contractor and bill you. Oh, and..." Her gaze flicked to the American flag hanging by their door, its "Don't Tread on Me" patch glaring in the sunlight. Flags larger than 3 by 5 feet require pre-approval. "Just a friendly reminder." Jack's hand twitched. He could smell her perfume, something floral and oppressive, like funeral lilies. "Anything else?" Linda leaned in, her whisper sharp as a knife. "We don't tolerate guns here, Mr. Thompson. This is a family community." Before Jack could react, she spun on her heel and left, her Lexus kicking up gravel. That night, Jack couldn't sleep. PTSD did that. Flooded his veins with adrenaline when the world went quiet. He paced the house, checking locks, peering through blinds. At 2 a.m., he slipped into the backyard, flashlight in hand. Something's wrong. The oak tree's shadow loomed over him, its gnarled roots snaking across the soil. He'd spent hours trimming its branches that afternoon, yet Linda had rejected it anyway. "Still non-compliant," she'd texted, attaching a photo of a single stray twig. As he swept the flashlight beam over the tree, a glint of metal caught his eye. There, buried in the bark, was a tiny camera, its lens pointed directly at Lily's bedroom window. Jack's blood turned to ice. He scanned the yard, flashlight trembling in his grip. Another camera nestled in the rose bushes. A third disguised as a rock near the fence. "Emily!" he shouted, bursting into the house. "Call 911 now." Officer Ramirez sighed as he examined the camera. Motion activated, wireless. Cheap stuff you can buy on Amazon. "They're spying on my kids," Jack growled. Ramirez glanced at Linda, who stood flanked by her HOA lackeys. She dabbed fake tears with a handkerchief. "This is slander. I'd never endanger children. My own son." Her voice cracked. "He died because of a gun." The officer shifted uncomfortably. "Mr. Thompson, unless you have proof Miss Carter planted these, who else would? She's been harassing us for weeks." Linda's lawyer stepped forward, a smug pit bull in a suit. "My client oversees 200 homes. She hardly has time for petty vendettas. Now, if you'll excuse us." As they left, Linda shot Jack a look, a fleeting, venomous smirk. "You're next," it said. Emily begged Jack to drop it. "We'll move the kids' beds away from the windows, install curtains." But Jack spent the night digging, through public records, HOA meeting minutes, Linda's past. He found her son's obituary. Ethan Carter, 14, accidental shooting, 2012. A comment on a local forum caught his eye. Cypress Creek HOA funds went missing last year. $200K vanished. Blamed on a clerical error. At 3 a.m., he stumbled outside, shovel in hand, and began digging beneath the oak tree. Clang. The shovel hit something metallic. A rusted lockbox, buried deep. Inside was a Polaroid of a teenage girl, her face bruised, eyes wide with terror. Scrawled on the back, "LC knows. Don't trust the HOA." Rain began to fall as Jack stared at the photo. Somewhere in the darkness, a camera blinked red. The storm arrived like an omen. Thunder growled in the distance as Jack stood at the kitchen window, watching rain slash sideways across the yard. The oak tree's branches clawed at the sky, shadows dancing like skeletal hands under the flickering porch light. He hadn't slept since unearthing the lockbox. The Polaroid girl's terrified face haunted him, her identity unknown, her fate buried alongside the HOA's secrets. Emily hovered behind him, arms crossed tightly. "You should have told the police about the photo. And give Linda another excuse to call me paranoid?" Jack's knuckles whitened around his coffee mug. "Ramirez already thinks I'm seeing ghosts." A crash of thunder shook the house. Somewhere upstairs, Lily whimpered. "Daddy!" Her small voice trembled through the baby monitor. "I'll go," Emily said. But Jack was already moving. He found Lily sitting upright in bed, her stuffed rabbit crushed to her chest. "The tree's knocking," she whispered, pointing to her rain-streaked window. Jack forced a smile. "Just the wind, bug. Try to." Crack. The sound was wrong. Too sharp, too deliberate. Not wind, not rain. "Stay here," Jack ordered, tossing her the rabbit. His combat boots thudded down the stairs as he grabbed a flashlight and the fire poker from the hearth. Emily blocked the back door. "Jack, don't. Check on Noah. Now." Rain needled Jack's face as he swept the flashlight beam across the yard. The oak tree's roots formed grotesque shapes in the strobe-like lightning. There. 3 figures hunched near the tree's base, their black raincoats blending with the night. A shovel glinted in the mud. "Stop right there," Jack barked, raising the poker. The tallest figure turned slowly. Linda Carter's blonde bob clung to her skull like wet seaweed, her smile a gash of red lipstick. "Mr. Thompson, out for a midnight stroll." Jack's pulse roared. The men flanking her were strangers, thick-necked, gloved, their faces obscured by hoods. One clutched a crowbar, the other, a black duffel bag dripping sludge. "You're trespassing," Jack snarled. "Trespassing?" Linda's laugh cut through the storm. Article 12, Section 4. HOA representatives may access any property for emergency infrastructure inspections. She gestured to the flooded lawn. "Storm drains require maintenance." Jack stepped closer, flashlight revealing fresh mud piled beside a gaping hole. Since when do inspections involve digging up my tree? The crowbar man shifted. Linda's smile vanished. You've been misbehaving, Jack. Snooping. Stealing. Her eyes flicked to the second-floor window where Emily stood silhouetted. Phone pressed to her ear. Return what doesn't belong to you, and we'll forget this tantrum. Lightning flashed. In that frozen moment, Jack saw it. The duffel bag's half-zipped opening. The glint of bone-handled knives inside. 911's on their way, Emily called from the window. Linda tooted. Poor Emily. Always cleaning up your messes. She nodded to Crowbar Man, who lunged toward the house. No! Jack tackled him, mud sloshing beneath them. The poker clattered away as they grappled. The man reeked of cigars and motor oil, his breath hot in Jack's face. Stop him! Linda screamed. The second thug sprinted for the back porch. Emily's shadow disappeared from the window. Emily! Jack headbutted his attacker, tasting blood. He scrambled upright just as glass shattered upstairs. Lily's room. Jack's combat training evaporated under the primal scream tearing from his throat. He vaulted onto the porch as Linda shouted after him. You brought this on yourself. Inside, Emily crouched in the hallway, Noah wailing in her arms. He went for Lily. A crash echoed from upstairs. Jack took the steps 3 at a time. The intruder stood in Lily's doorway, crowbar raised. Her night light cast hellish shadows across his pockmarked face. Behind him, Lily's window gaped open, glass shards glittering on her frozen bedsheets. Rain lashed through the broken pane. Daddy! Lily scrambled backward, cornered against her headboard. The man swung. Jack ducked, the crowbar embedding in the doorframe. He drove his elbow into the man's ribs, followed by a knee to the groin. The thug collapsed, cursing. Run to mommy! Jack shoved Lily toward the hall. The man grabbed his ankle. Bitch! He yanked, sending Jack crashing into the dresser. Snow globes exploded as the crowbar swung again. Bang! The gunshot froze everyone. Emily stood in the doorway, Jack's Glock trembling in her hands. The bullet had torn through the wall. Out! She whispered. Now! The intruder fled, his boots crunching glass. Police found nothing. No footprints in the mud. No fingerprints on the crowbar. Linda's alibi was airtight. Dinner receipts placing her 20 miles away. Kids imagine things during storms, Officer Ramirez said, eyeing Lily's boarded-up window. Jack waited until the taillights faded before showing Emily the Polaroid. They weren't here for inspections. They were looking for this. Emily traced the girl's bruised face. Who is she? Someone who crossed the HOA. Jack pulled up Linda's financials on his laptop. Dozens of payments to a shell company called Cypress Holdings. Whatever they're hiding, it's bigger than missing funds. A notification pinged. The security camera Jack had installed post-break-in alerted. Movement detected. The screen showed Linda's Lexus parked down the street. A shadowy figure stood beside it, staring directly into the lens. White text flashed across the feed. Access granted. The screen went black. The rain had turned to ice. Sleet hissed against the boarded-up windows, the wind howling like a wounded animal. Jack sat at the kitchen table. The Polaroid of the bruised girl laid bare beside his disassembled Glock. His hands moved mechanically, cleaning each component, the ritual a desperate anchor to sanity. Emily paced nearby, her phone buzzing with another anonymous text. You shouldn't have dug. We need to leave, she pleaded. Pack the kids and go. Now. Jack slid the gun's barrel into place. And let them chase us? No. A thud echoed from the backyard, wood splintering. Lily screamed upstairs. Jack sprinted toward the stairs, but Emily grabbed his arm. They're inside. The house groaned. Shadows flickered in the hallway. A masked figure lunged from the pantry, knife raised. Jack fired twice. The man crumpled, blood blooming across the linoleum. Stay behind me, Jack barked, pushing Emily toward the closet under the stairs. Take Noah and Lily. Don't come out. He heard them before he saw them, boots pounding the porch, the crack of the front door giving way. Three men in black tactical gear flooded the living room, their rifles sweeping the room. "Where's the box, soldier?" their leader sneered, his voice distorted by a modulator. Jack ducked behind the couch as bullets shredded the upholstery. Feathers filled the air like grotesque snow. He returned fire, catching one attacker in the throat. The man gurgled, collapsing into his comrades. "Emily, now!" Jack roared, tossing her the car keys. She bolted from the closet. Noah and Lily clutched to her chest and vanished into the storm. Jack's breath fogged the air as he retreated to the garage. Blood dripped from a graze on his temple. He'd bought Emily 5 minutes, maybe. The garage door shuddered. A crowbar pried it open, inch by inch. "Come out, hero," Linda sang. She stepped into the dim light, her pink pantsuit swapped for black tactical gear, a pistol dangling carelessly in her hand. "Let's talk." Jack leveled his Glock. "Where's my family?" "Safe. For now." She kicked a gas can, its contents sloshing. "The lockbox. Where is it?" "Buried with your secrets." Jack spat. Linda's composure cracked. "You think you're noble? That girl you found, she was weak. Screamed too much. Just like your daughter will." Jack's finger tightened on the trigger. Engine roared outside. Tires screeched. Emily's minivan. Linda's men dragged Emily and the kids into the garage. Noah sobbed into his mother's shirt. Lily's wrists were bound with zip ties. "Daddy, they hurt Mommy's arm," Lily cried. Jack's vision tunneled. Combat training ward with paternal rage. Hostage protocol. Assess. Prioritize. Linda pressed her gun to Emily's temple. Last chance. The Polaroid girl's face flashed in Jack's mind. Her bruises, her terror. How many others? He dropped the Glock. "Smart boy," Linda purred. She nodded to her thug, who tossed Jack a shovel. "Dig." The storm raged as Jack carved into the frozen earth beneath the oak tree. Every shovelful unearthed memories. IEDs in Kandahar, the stench of burning Humvees, the weight of dead comrades. "Deeper," Linda ordered, her gun trained on Emily. The shovel struck metal. The lockbox. Linda's eyes glittered. "Open it." Inside lay the Polaroid, a USB drive, and a ledger, names, dates, dollar amounts. Cypress Holdings. Linda Carter. Senatorial bribes. Human shipments. "You trafficked them," Jack breathed. Linda shrugged. "They're ghosts. No one misses ghosts." A whimper escaped Emily. Lily stared at the ledger, her childhood innocence crumbling. "Now," Linda said. "Burn it." Jack struck. The shovel blade caught Linda's wrist. Her pistol clattered away. Jack tackled her, mud and sleet churning beneath them. "Kill them," Linda screeched. Her thug raised his rifle. Bang. The man dropped, a hole between his eyes. Emily stood framed in the garage doorway, Jack's backup revolver smoking in her hands. Linda scrambled for her gun. Jack lunged. 2 shots rang out. Linda collapsed, clutching her stomach. Blood seeped through her fingers, mingling with the icy mud. Her lips moved, voice fading. "We just wanted to bury the..." Her eyes glazed over. Sirens wailed in the distance. Police floodlights bathed the yard in hellish white. Officer Ramirez stared at Linda's body, then at the lockbox's contents. "Jesus, they were trafficking girls," Jack rasped, cradling a shivering Lily. "The ledger proves it." Ramirez's radio crackled. "Chief, you gotta see this." Beneath the oak tree, where Jack had dug, lay a skeletal hand protruding from the earth. The media dubbed it the Suburban Massacre. News vans camped outside 2147, Oakwood Lane for weeks, their satellite dishes clawing at the sky like metal vultures. Jack's face, gaunt, unshaven, eyes hollow, splashed across every screen. Veteran kills HOA president in self-defense, hero or vigilante? The lockbox's ledger and USB drive had ignited a firestorm. Cypress Holdings was a front for a trafficking ring that funneled girls through Mexico, their bodies buried beneath compliant homeowners' yards. Linda's inspections were cover for digging graves. The oak tree alone yielded 4 skeletons, including the Polaroid girl, identified as Maria Gutierrez, A 17-year-old reported missing in 2019. But the truth, Jack learned, was a knife that cut both ways. Mr. Thompson, is it true you planned to confront Linda Carter that night? The prosecutor's voice dripped venom. Jack sat stiffly in the courtroom, his dress uniform sleeves straining over bandaged wrists. The bullet wound in his thigh throbbed. No, Jack said. She came for my family. Yet you chose to bury evidence. Objection. Jack's lawyer slammed a hand on the table. The defense has established that my client uncovered the ledger during the altercation. The judge sustained it, but the jury's eyes narrowed. In the gallery, Emily clutched Lily's hand. The girl had stopped drawing rainbows. Now her sketches were all shadows and coiled snakes. Cypress Creek fractured. Half the town rallied behind Jack, holding support our troops' barbecues. The other half hissed murderer as he jogged past their lawns. Former HOA members vanished overnight, their mansions slapped with foreclosure signs. But the worst blow came from the police. Ballistics confirmed Linda fired first, Officer Ramirez testified. But toxicology found traces of ketamine in her system, drugs that impair judgment. The defense pounced. So Linda Carter wasn't in her right mind when she attacked? Ramirez hesitated. It's possible. The jury glanced at Jack's Glock, displayed like a relic in an evidence bag. While Jack fought in court, Emily combed through Linda's encrypted emails. Thompson knows. Burn the oak. Attached were blueprints of their house, the kids' school schedules, and a photo of Lily's ballet recital. They were watching us long before the cameras, Emily whispered to Jack that night, her laptop glow painting tears on her face. This goes higher than Linda. Someone's still out there. Jack stared at the email's unnamed recipient. The address ended in at blackthornholdings.com, a firm linked to senatorial campaigns. We can't trust anyone, he said. Not guilty. The word should have brought relief. Instead, it hung like a guillotine. The jury believed Jack acted in self-defense, but the press crucified him. Conspiracy theorists live-streamed outside their home, drones buzzing overhead. You're free, Emily murmured, hugging him outside the courthouse. Jack watched Lily flinch at a reporter's flash. Are we? They tried to move. A rental in Albuquerque, cabin in Colorado. Each time, within days, a silver car would appear down the street. A welcome to the neighborhood card would arrive, smudged with the same coral pink lipstick Linda wore. One night, Emily woke to whispers outside Noah's window. Dollies go in the ground. A child's voice giggled. Just like Maria. By morning, Noah's stuffed dinosaur lay decapitated in the yard, its stuffing replaced with dead roses. Jack returned to Texas. The oak tree had been cut down, its stump a festering wound. He knelt, pressing a hand to the scarred earth. How many more are buried here? A black SUV rolled up. Two men in suits emerged, their smiles polished. Mr. Thompson, the taller one said, Senator Coulter appreciates your discretion. He slid over an envelope. Inside, a check for $5 million and a deed to a remote Alaskan cabin. In exchange for what? Jack growled. The man nodded to Lily and Noah building sandcastles across the street. The USB drive. And silence. Jack burned the check. That night, as thunder shook the house, Jack rewired their security system. Emily worked the shotgun, her hands steadier now. Lily tiptoed in, clutching her nightmare-scarred sketchbook. Daddy? The bad lady's friends are here. What bad lady, Bug? She flipped to a drawing. Their house, surrounded by faceless figures in pink pantsuits. Above them, a massive I wept blood. All of them, Lily whispered. The motion sensor blared. They never found who left the note. It appeared at dawn, nailed to the oak stump with a bone-handled knife. You should have taken the money. Beneath it lay a fresh Polaroid. Emily's hands shook as she lifted it. The photo showed Maria Gutierrez's grave, now empty. Scrawled on the back, "We don't stay buried."